What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to Streamcast, the show on the internet. We watch the latest and greatest stuff on streaming services with you guys. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with the god of mischief himself, Sheps. How's it going, bro?
It's going good. How's it going?
Just going great. I am loving the hell out of Loki at the moment.
Oh, yeah?
It's right up my street.
Yeah.
However, I just found out yesterday that it's 6 episodes long.
Yeah.
We are a third of the way through this damn show already.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready for it to be over.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
This is not cool, Disney. It's not cool. Not great.
Yeah, I do feel you. I was going to do a bit about how, like, I know it's going to cut against the grain, but this is actually genuinely my favorite of the Disney shows so far.
Yeah.
I loved WandaVision, and
Yeah.
I really, really, really liked
Falcon
Falcon
and
and the Winter Soldier. I mean, in different ways, I love them both equally, but, you know, they're like children.
Right, they're your children. You
Right.
can't say they're your favorite because they'll get upset. Is that bothering you?
It's fine. It's fine.
I was going to say, tighten that nut thing over
This
there.
one.
Yeah, tighten it, like really give it something, and then we'll see if it will...
That's pretty tight.
There you go.
But this one, I don't know what it is, but it's speaking to me of Marvel in a way that the other two maybe didn't. Like, WandaVision, we spent so much time not with Wanda Maximoff, but with the character of Wanda in the show.
Right.
And with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they were dealing with so much human stuff that they weren't really their superhero selves.
Yeah.
But with this, we're dealing with Loki, exactly as we know him.
There isn't a human element to Yogi. He's a god. That's just it.
It's just Loki. We're dealing with Loki, and it's Tom Hiddleston's incredible. Owen Wilson's brilliant, and I don't know what it is, but it's like I almost feel like I'm back in the movies in their peak, in their heyday.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm really liking this.
I'm really liking it as well. I have to say the whole TVA thing is super interesting to me because whenever you introduce time to anything, you just open yourself up to a whole bunch of like loops and issues and plot points.
You have to choose which holes you're going to plug and which holes you're going to leave.
Yes, exactly. Right? It didn't work out for Endgame. They just said something and it was like, okay, you're just doing it for this movie,
right?
And there's problems. That's what we're saying, right? But for this, so far they've been good. There's even one moment where they say something. I'm like, that was specifically put in to stop people from thinking of a time loop and whatnot.
Loki specifically, I think it's like almost the very first scene says, "Why not just turn up before and stop it?" And he's like, "No, that's not how it works.
You can't do that. It's impossible because that's not how the time works in this world."
There is one thing though, which I think the TVA has on its side, which is instead of normal things where you have to create the rules for time, these guys work for the guys that create the rules for time. So they can choose what works and what doesn't. Yeah. So I think as a way of doing like the time loopy thing, this is actually the ideal one because they're not doing a time loop. No, we work for the guys that make time. Yeah. So okay, well that's not how it works. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm not one of those alien lizard dudes. They just tell us and this is how it works. That's how it
It's all up to them. Also, I don't know how we're going to decide this, because normally whenever we come up with outrageous claims or predictions, it's always Eddie was right and you look stupid. Right. However, this time, we're kind of both right.
Yeah, this one's annoying, because normally it's like, even if you're wrong, you just double down.
Exactly.
And if you're right, you gloat about it. But like right now...
And now we're like...
Like, for example, we all knew it was Lady Loki. I was doing a mini troll.
I actually didn't know. I was like, I don't know who it is.
There's a lot of stuff, and in this one, it cemented it within the first 2 minutes because they kept saying he. And you're like, okay, cool. It is definitely Lady Loki. Yeah. And I was playing because it's my headcanon. I think this would be a fun villain Loki of like the blue Jotunheim Loki. Yeah. And they show one. They showed one the variants
in the thing, in the hologram.
It was my Robo Bucky theory, right? But they showed one, which was cool.
Yeah. By the way, people in the chat were saying, I'm surprised Sheps didn't go off on a massive one about the whole robot thing and the crisis internally that Loki was having. Because it was Bucky is a robot. If he was to come through, I thought it'd be quite funny there.
I actually 100% forgot about that theory until it was brought up after the show.
It's our dumb jokes. It's like, if we keep track of every single dumb joke, we'd need... a library the size of the TVA library to keep track of them.
It'd be an Encyclopedia Combrotanica.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yes.
Streamcast here on the FPN, the flagship show, is brought to you along with all of our content across both of our channels and over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Conversations. It's made possible by the incredible Super Bros over on patreon.com/Conversations. That is very difficult. Who do we have to thank?
We have Diogo Dildo, Isak the Ultimate Cumsock, Keralt of Rivia, aka Catsper the Friendly Patron, Record Friction, Jeremy Renner, that's right, an official Avenger, Martin Scorsese's Master H. Bart Suave, the Midget Alo from Smallville Sabine, the former freeloader Christian, Master Chief himself, Albiscori, Super Sus Ben Fryer, who is a terrible, terrible clone of Eddie. Apparently he's talking shit about me on the podcast he recorded, a Random Wavelength podcast, and I'm heated before it even comes out. The Star Wars Encyclopedia, Adam Sunling, Filthy FIFA Fanatic, Joe McCormack, My Juicy Left Nut, the super sexy producer Sean, and Kevin, the #1 simp of Daddy Phil Spencer. Thank you guys so much for keeping the lights and mics on and the gaming going. Well, the streaming service is going.
That's
here.
right.
It's not the True Gamer podcast. No. That's a different podcast, which you should totally check out. It's awesome. Links in the description to the channel.
Yeah, it's youtube.com/ never mind. Just search for the True Game podcast.
Search for True Game podcast. That's what we should do. So,
yeah,
guys, episode 2 of Loki, The Variant.
Yep.
We start off in Wisconsin, 1985. However, it didn't look like that until they put it up, until they explained what was going on.
Ren Fair or whatever.
Renaissance Fair or something like that. And everyone's dressed old-timey clothes. And there's one woman who's very, very... She almost turned into a Karen. She was almost like, hey, you're not in the right costumes. Some of us need this, guys. Some of us need this. I'm like... Your life is very small if you need this. Anyway, the Time Cops, the Minutemen guys come along, bust out of their time door, and they're like searching for a signature, and they find a nexus.
Isn't it? Don't we see that there's a beef here? Or is this? That's this.
That's this.
Yeah.
So
okay, cool.
They
my
bust
bad.
out.
My bad.
I think you're thinking about the second people that come through.
Because there's two teams that stand up in the exact same place with the exact same chick.
Exactly.
My bad. Yeah.
So they all come in and they're like, they're reading a Nexus event level energy reading. So they go over to one a hut, essentially,
like
a tent exactly,
circus tent type thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And as they go in, music starts. They immediately back to back, holding the. Shut up, Siri.
How dare you?
Back to back, they're holding their pruning machines, their pruning batons there, and they're at the ready. It's kind of horror-ish right here.
It's interesting how the vibes change when Loki is back to being the villain again. Yes. And it's not our Loki, but it is a Loki. They
do Loki horror quite well. Even when he turns up in the first Avengers movie, the way that the camera is super close to his face and high up, and you're sort of seeing his smile elongated even more in his eyes. I'm like, woo!
I will say the best Loki horror is done by Tom Hiddleston in this episode where the chick comes out and he goes, "Nice to meet you," and then does that smile.
Oh.
And you're like, oh yeah, that is right. He is the god of mischief. He is an ice giant. He is a badass. He's a pretty formidable guy.
Do you know what it is? It's just British people. We're just so good at doing villains.
Either villain or hero.
Exactly. And spy. Americans are automatically afraid of us because we're smart.
Facts.
That's what it is.
True.
Exactly. So they go in there and immediately get ambushed by this hooded figure. One of the women gets touched by some random hand, goes all green and her eyes go green, and starts attacking all the other Minutemen. Nails all of them. I mean, they're all just like, "Why are you doing this?" And they're getting killed and whatnot. Snaps one of them in one of their necks, and then. Does she just lay down on the ground? Falls over on the ground.
The green disappears and she flops.
With the last guy, and the last guy sort of watches. What the hell is
what the frick is going on there?
But then he gets immediately shanked.
Yeah, she just chefs him up.
Who's she? What are you talking about?
I mean, the villain.
Hooded figure that we don't know.
That's right.
That we've been told
the blue Jotunheim Loki.
Exactly, it's clearly Loki. We all know that. Wink, wink,
King Laufeyson. Yeah, exactly. Loki. Yeah. Because he stabs this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Takes the time grenades that they have that resets everything, and also takes the one woman that she took control of. He took control of.
He takes a hostage.
Yes, which is the first time ever that's happened. Anyway, then we go Loki and things like that.
Yeah, the intro rolls. Yeah,
like that. And then we cut to Loki taking lessons from a holographic time.
I thought this was really cute.
Was really cute.
And then it's like, because it's back to that kind of Jurassic Park animation.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you a recording or are you alive? Kind of both?
and then it's like trying to swat him with a magazine, and it's like moving and jumps into a screen.
And I'm glad that they explore this, and I think this is leading into what I said last episode about how I think this is gonna explore like what is free will, what are your choices, you know, are you really in control of your own destiny as its theme. Mobius, like immortal but can't really age, time agent, has, and I actually wrote it down here, like I wonder if this will come back, this magazine about jet skis from the 90s, which is just a weird, obscure, odd thing to have. And Loki's trying to swat the clock, and he's like, hey, is that my jet ski magazine? Put that down.
Yeah. He asked him later about it, like, why do you have that and stuff like that. But that's later on in the episode, so we'll get to that. There is one thing that they mention right here. Loki's getting lessons about the TVA and about Nexus events and all that sort of stuff. He's pretending like he's not listening, but then the thing quizzes him. It's like, what's a Nexus event? A Nexus event is what happens when a timeline reaches the red line and the time can no longer be reset, like irrevocable damage has been done. Basically teaching us, the viewer, what this all means and what that is right there.
They also kind of established that the those grenades don't like just delete that new timeline. What it does is it deletes, or it disintegrates pretty much everything within a range.
Yes.
The affected area.
Yeah.
And then the timeline gets back on track with this like minor hiccup.
Yeah.
It doesn't delete the whole universe
for
that timeline. So it's one of those things of like, if it gets past that point, it affects too much. That affects more things, those affect more things. It's like that you go back in time, step on a bug, and then, you know, the world never happens or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
the world completely stops to exist because
of
that one bug.
Enough of the ripples got big enough that it can't be stopped.
Yeah,
and
but if you just destroy that thing in the area, because you're soon enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. Loki and Mobius, obviously they go on off their ways, and they do talk a little bit about the jet skis and like, what's that all about? And he tries to... It's almost like he's trying to be like, well, I want to be kind of like normal almost. I want to have like a normal life. But he's been made specifically for...
Wilson's character. Mobius.
Yeah, Mobius. Yeah. He's been made specifically for the TVA. So that's his only thing he can do. There is no chance at a normal life. It's kind of sad, but I don't know how to feel about it.
It's weird because like it is kind of sad, but then he seems so content with his role.
Yeah.
And like the lot he has to play and like the way he's been cast, if you will.
Yeah.
That... he seems happy.
Yeah.
I know it's odd, and that's one of the things I think it's going to be explored a bit. So I guess we'll find out.
Angry Lady comes along to tell them about the attack that's happened. And Loki and the Mobius have been called to investigate the attack. They're all standing in the area and they're explaining what's happened. And they've given him a jacket that tells everyone that he's a variant as well, like labeling him. I'm not going to lie, I feel like a certain other bad person did other types of labeling for a person they want to keep track of.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny?
Not mentioning any names, but armbands were involved.
Funny that you mentioned that. I actually did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that. Although, I also felt the way they did it, it was kind of almost like having a trainee on the back.
It definitely was, yeah.
So it was like, it wasn't quite so bad as that other guy that you mentioned. But I see what you're saying, for sure. Although,
I'm just drawing the parallels that he had soldiers in black uniforms, a bit like Hydra,
if you will.
Exactly, like Hydra.
And they do look almost the exact same uniform.
There's definitely a few dots you could connect.
Oh, you're starting to connect Hydra dots. Interesting. What is cool, though, and I like it, I really appreciated this, because they're kind of dressing Loki down a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a few times where they're saying, like, this other Loki is a superior version to you and all this stuff. And so they're kind of dressing him down. And they start showing, like, other Loki variants.
Yes.
And then they say, that... I can't remember exactly how it goes, but they're like, oh, Loki does this or that. And he goes, well, actually, those are two different things.
Yeah, he says they have different powers in each version of them, but most of the time it's illusion projection.
Yeah.
And Loki's like, no, sorry, it's not illusion projection. I forgot what the first word was, but it's something casting. And he's like, what's the difference?
Right.
It's like illusion projection is like pretending something's there. You can just project whatever you want over to there. Whereas this casting is... projecting a complete one's molecular identical self over there, and it's like,
yeah, but you knew that already.
Whatever. Anyway,
but I really appreciated that scene. I feel like it's supposed to be something they don't pay attention to, and it's really for us to remember that Loki does know what he's doing. What he is doing is actually quite powerful.
Yeah.
And these guys that think they know Loki,
don't.
Right, he's telling them, actually, the thing that you've just said, this one thing, well, actually, it's two separate things. They're very different skills.
Yeah.
One's much more difficult than the other. And this is not a thing that a regular anything, like even a regular Asgardian can do, or a regular ice giant can do. This is a very difficult ability.
And that's why I am the superior Loki.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
And also, it's Tom Hiddleston. Like, have you seen him with his shirt off? We saw him with his shirt off, so we know who's the real.
Have you seen him in his?
All I'm saying is we'll have to get
outfit?
the two of them with their shirts off just to be sure.
We need to have both of them completely naked.
And that's not. It's for science. I mean, it's not my.
Agreed. You
know.
Also, I have one question. We'll get to that when we get to the end.
Okay. They basically turn up in 1985 Wisconsin.
Exactly.
At the event. And this is where we address why didn't we just turn up before the event and stop it?
Exactly.
It's not how it works.
Time destabilizes around a Nexus event, he says, and you can't control it, you can't do that.
So you have to come in real time.
Exactly.
Which is actually surprisingly clean. There's two really surprisingly clean fixes in this, which I don't think the writers are going to get enough credit for how clean these two like time loopy things.
No.
They're cleaner than Endgame, and Endgame is the pinnacle of the largest movie franchise in history.
Yeah.
Is the largest movie in history, and this is cleaner.
This is way cleaner.
So
I bet they're pissed. They're like, God, why didn't we get these guys to do the fucking thing?
Right.
God damn it. Anyway, Loki's. They all go into the tent where the anomaly's happening, where all the energy is, the variant energy. They're saying is that.
Yeah.
They go in there and they see there's like people on the ground, but then there's like the helmet and Pruna of one of the people. It's like, so hold on, Loki's taking hostages now.
Yeah,
they've never done this before.
I think what they say is Loki has never done that before. I think is what they said, because I remember writing down, wait, have there been other Loki variants? Like, is Loki
go off like this?
Yeah, like, is Loki a common variant type? Like, they make it seem like Loki has happened twice, but randomly, like, sometimes people just randomly get off the timeline. There's this little, I think it's a throwaway comment, but it sounds to me like very often Lokis in different timelines end up as variants.
Right.
Like, it's Loki as a chaotic character is always going to find his way off the beaten path, even in a timeline, which might come back up, but I just thought it was like a little nod to like Loki being Loki,
being that kind of just that powerful entity in the universe, right? And just as they're about to go, okay, like everything's in it, we've seen everything. All right, let's head outside and try and see if we can find this.
It's a trap.
I sense a scheme. And he's like, this is what I would do. This is what I would think. And he tries. Mobius is like, no, let's hear him out. Let's see what he's going to say. And all while this is happening, the Nexus event is like approaching the red line. And the angry woman's like, we've only got like 1 unit left. We've got this. We have to get out of here. We have to reset.
We don't know what units mean, but the important thing is it's a countdown.
We've only got that left. That unit left.
Right. We had the 3. Now we're down to 1.
Exactly. God, I don't know how much time that is, but there you go. And he's stalling, basically. He's trying to like come up with something.
So before they left on the mission and met up with Angry Lady and got the debrief, Mobius reveals that he knows probably what Loki's plan is to like become an inside agent and take over the thing. And Loki's like, and you can totally tell he was thinking that. Yeah. And he's trying to play it off. And then Mobius drops he never actually says you'll get to speak to the timekeepers, but he makes it sound like it's a possibility. And Loki even says, a face-to-face with the timekeepers is on the cards, and he says, I need that kind of focus. He never actually says yes.
Yeah.
Very Loki-esque.
That's it.
Right? But so now Loki is trying to manipulate the situation so that he's needed, and the only way that he can fix this is to speak to them.
Yeah. And he has the idea that pushing it all the way to the red line, if it goes to the red line, then they'll pop out suddenly or something like that.
I sense a scheme. This is what I would do. It's a trap. The only way that we can do this is if I need to speak to the timekeepers. He's like, no, he's bullshitting. He's lying.
He's bullshitting. Game out.
You nearly had me, but yeah.
And then they reset the timeline just before the timer runs out, and they get on their way. The next bit. So they take him back to the TVA, and Mobius gives him one last chance. He goes in to see the judge woman.
I think there's something here, by the way. So he goes and see the judge lady, who.
Oh, I was saying before that.
Oh no, sorry.
Go on. Go on, you say it.
I mean, it basically they're like, you get one more chance. He's like, please come on. I think I've got something here, and she gives him the go ahead for it. But I think because they made this really weird emphasis on ring marks on the table from his drinks, and I'm wondering if the plan here isn't that the the regular the sacred timeline or the TVA timeline won't be disrupted, and Mobius will clock it because there won't be those rings on the table.
Perhaps.
Because he says
it was very specific.
Yeah, and she said use the coasters like they were already there.
I thought it was see, I don't know what it could mean.
Or maybe it's just building his character.
It could be. I don't know what it means, but it means that he's frequent. It could mean that he's frequently been there for a certain reason.
Right.
I don't know if
it's there
frequently tried to do this kind of thing, and that's why he's been there all the time. They do make
he's clearly not like a fuck up agent though. Do you know what I mean? Like
I mean I'm thinking specifically with Loki. Like he's tried many times with Loki.
With Lokis.
There is one thing where they say the time entities, the lizards and guys.
Is it Timekeeper? I said that, but
Timekeeper,
yeah, cool.
The Timekeepers are very fixated on this timeline and fixated on Loki in this whole thing.
She says I've never seen them so involved in anything. They're normally locked away in their room or whatever, working on the next stuff. But they're really.
So it makes me think that maybe that something's happened before, or maybe because they're really powerful time entities, that maybe they've done something where they've tried to go a route with the Loki and then they're fucked up, so they've brought it back again, or they've done something because they've created these TVA people, right? Yeah. Maybe they've reset them somehow. I don't know. Maybe it's too far out. It's way too far.
I took it to mean that whatever's going on is a really serious threat. That's why they're paying attention to it, and that the threat is Loki, and then they brought in a second Loki, which is the original threat.
Yeah.
And so now they're like a little bit worried. Like this could, it's like using fire to fight fire. Yeah. Like that, it does work, but you also end up with a really big fire, right? So that's how I took that to mean. And I wonder if we won't see the TVA that outside of time, learning that actually they're not quite outside of time. They're on a different kind of time or something.
Yeah.
By those things not being there, because he says that they were always there, or they've always been here. They were here before I got here. That kind of thing. So I wonder if he won't come in and realize that he's been duped, or maybe there'll be a Loki illusion and he'll realize he's in an illusion because that one little detail isn't there or something.
We'll see.
I don't know, man. It just clicked in my head.
But
basically, he gets the go-ahead one more chance because you messed up, pretty massively here. Yeah.
And he takes him to the big library we mentioned with all of the cases and everything like that. And he puts him down and he tells him to study all of the Loki events, the case files until he finds something. Like that's his punishment, but also like you have to prove yourself back again. So he sits him down and he goes, "I'm gonna go get."
There is one little thing before that which I want to bring up because it feels like, and this is why I think the Mobius-Loki relationship is going to work, because for whatever reason, Mobius seems to really understand at least this Loki.
Yeah.
And so he says, like, just before they leave to go to the files, you can believe that I helped you for 2 reasons, and you can pick, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I saw a child in the cold who's scared and needed help, or I'll tell you anything you want to hear to get what I need.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care which. And it's by saying both of those, it leads Loki to believe that it's probably the first, but then it could well be the second.
Yeah. So
we genuinely now don't know. All we know is that this guy definitely understands Loki.
But Loki seems to think it's the first one.
Right.
He walks in straight away and is like, "I'm not a scared, cold little boy."
Oh, he says
straight away.
Before he says that, because they're in the elevator, he says, "I don't need your pity."
Oh, yes.
And then he says, "I'm not a scared little boy."
Yes.
And so it's like...
I love how he's in his head so much that he's like, I forced you to believe it's the first one. Right. You could have easily said, it's like, "Oh, I'm just the person who lied to you."
Because he literally said, "I'll say anything to you to get what I want."
Yeah.
Or it's this other thing. And by admitting that he would say anything that he wants, anything to get what he wants from Loki, he can just tell him the truth.
Yeah.
Which is anything he would do. It's really well written.
Yeah.
So he goes through the case files.
He starts to read some of the stuff he's done. It's like, "Oh yeah, Loki and Asgard and stuff like that." But he's talking, and one of the women behind him is like,
"Shushes him,"
and he turns around. And he's like, "Shh." Like I thought there was going to get like
British.
a shushing
It's
battle.
so British.
Anyway, he goes. Yes,
he then goes to get more files.
Yes, goes to what looks like the head librarian. She's typing away, a very old lady or something like that. I was like, not paying any attention. It's like, "Hello." It's like, so she's doing all the TVA stuff. You know how we are. We're just going through times.
He's trying to flex that he's a field
that.
agent,
But she's not even paying any attention. And then he sees like the bell thing there. Ding, ding. And she's like, "Yes."
I really like it.
It's just so cold.
I need all the files regarding the creation of the TVA, classified. Beginning of time, classified. End of time, classified. What files can I have? Here, have fun with these.
Takes him over to one file, and it's the file of him, basically.
It's just his files.
That's the only file you're allowed. And he opens it up, and he sees his own case files, sees all the casualties that happen. Specifically, he brings out the Ragnarok apocalyptic event.
Yeah.
And it shows how Asgard
Which, by the way, this Loki hasn't experienced, because he was on Team Thor for that. Because that's Hela, right? Hela? It's their sister. This Loki hasn't experienced it, but he knows that he will, and he knows how he changes. He skipped all that, but he never actually got to experience it. So now he's experiencing the loss of his home for the first time, which I feel like gets easily skipped past, because it's easy to think of him as our Loki. Somehow he escaped Thanos. That's not this Loki. So he's dealing with the fact that he was trying to bring down Asgard all this time, and then what happens when you actually get it? Look at all these casualties. No Asgard, no Thor, no Odin. It's only for like a few seconds, but I feel like there's a good reason for him to be so sad here. That's all.
I've lost where we are.
So
I was halfway through saying that, and I didn't know what was going on.
Apocalypse. He's the apocalypse theory. He realizes that Asgard.
I'm lost.
What?
I was halfway through saying something. I don't know, and then I didn't. I don't know where we are now.
He reads his file. He gets to the.
Okay, so I was saying he was reading his file. That was it. So you're reading his file.
How can he be lost?
I was halfway through saying it, and I don't know. And then you started talking about something. I don't know,
sorry, blood.
I don't know what was going on. I'm completely out of it. I got thrown off the wagon, and I'm like, no help.
Don't leave me.
So.
I'm just a cold little boy.
He's reading. Yeah, I'm a cold little boy. He was reading the case file. Apocalyptic event. Asgard's been destroyed. 9,700 people casualties. It's really hit him hard. And then you see like the stuff like he has to experience all the stuff that he's done, all because of him. He's just been told he's the reason for it. And he figures it out because he sees when it says apocalyptic event, and it says zero variant energy.
Zero variant energy, and he's like. Because there's 100. Because everybody in Asgard's dead.
It's like, so this wasn't caused by a variant. It wasn't caused by anything. It was just an apocalyptic event, and that's where the light bulb goes off. And he goes over to Mobius to try and tell him his big theory that he's come up with, and he does it in the most hilarious way.
He's 100% messing with him. By the way, he didn't need to do this.
No,
and
even the explanation is sloppy, and I'm like. There's way better ways to say this, and you didn't have to ruin the man's salad. Right. He pulls out his salad, pours a bunch of salt in it, pours a bunch of pepper in it, and he gets a drink from Casey's back there.
Milk or something, and pours it in.
And he basically tries to explain to him, it's like, look, at an apocalyptic event, you can go in and you can mess with anything that's around there, because in a moment it's all going to get destroyed, and that doesn't have any effects on any of the ripples of anywhere else, because
no ripples because everybody dies.
Exactly. If you tell someone, hey, the future lottery numbers is X, Y, and Z, they don't have enough time to act on that because it's all been destroyed. That's where Loki is hiding the apocalyptic event. It's like, how do we even know like which apocalyptic event? How do we even know if that's even true, possible, or even like that? Well, we need to go test it. We need to go. Yeah, let's go to Asgard. It's like, oh, I know you want to go to Asgard, don't you?
It can be anyone. It doesn't have to be
anyone. It doesn't have to be. And
they go to Pompeii.
They do. They go to Pompeii, 79 AD.
Yeah.
They get there and they're like, okay, we need to be super small about this.
Can you make bird noises? Start small.
Small things. It's like. Start with bird noises.
That's no fun.
He just
runs out and starts like throwing stuff. Let's go. So I was like, people of Bombay, I'm from the future. I wish you all a terrible day. You're all about to die. That mountain's going to explode. Get fucked.
Yeah.
Basically.
He speaks in perfect, what do they speak, Italian?
Latin.
Romanian? Latin.
Romanian? Shut up.
I was like, Romanian sounds funnier. Let's do that. Who knows back then? 2,000 years ago, no one knows.
So, also what's funny is nobody believes him because he says, I'm from the future. Immediately crazy guy.
Yeah.
But,
they're like, this is all going to blow up. You're all going to die. And they're just like, yeah.
I wish you all a terrible day.
Yeah.
But the thing is, no variance energy.
Exactly. And he's like, no variance energy. The TVA didn't know we were here, and we just seriously messed with the timeline. Had these people survived? Proof. Amazing.
The freaking thing explodes. The thing I love as well is because Loki, right now, Loki's a god.
Yeah.
A volcano exploding is not a big deal.
No.
So he's just there like, I told you, man. There's freaking like house-sized boulders falling down. I was like, I told you.
I don't care.
Yeah, like this is awesome. Let's head back. Yeah, it's quite funny.
And I think Loki starts
what
to
happens
ask.
next?
So Loki starts to ask Mobius what he's doing with the. Okay, yeah, this is actually the moment where he asks him. Okay, so he's like, he breaks down after they've discovered that they go and sit down and have some food, and they're like, Mobius, like, why are you doing all of this? Like, what's your reasoning for everything here? And he goes, you actually believe all of this, don't you? Like, he starts to explain to him, you buy into everything. He's like, you actually believe that there's these 3 lizards and they're just governing all of time, and there's these magic 3 lizards that do all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, like, what about you? Like,
so the thing is, Loki's trying to like belittle him. Like, you really believe that? And he's like, what about you?
3 magic lizards.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, god of Asgard, ruler of the thing,
The
king of
heavens.
ice giants. Like, when you look at any of it, it's all ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know? And it's really good because if you think about any of it too much, he is right. It just sounds like a fairy tale, no matter where you come from. You know.
I feel like Loki was sort of like.
He's like, no, that's totally different because we really exist. Shit. You know, like it's really cool. And again, constantly just maybe not really cutting into it, but like just shaving this concept of like, where do you come from? Does that actually matter? Are you free, or does the perception of free will matter more than actually being free? And does that matter? Like,
it brings up what we said in the last episode about free will and whether or not it like that. It goes, so the past and present and the future is all determined by these timekeepers, by these lizards and whatnot. So there is no free will then. It's like, well, kind of. You're oversimplification. And he goes, so
that's another thing as well. He doesn't answer the question. They don't have to come up with how does it work if everything's predetermined. It's like, well, that's an oversimplification.
Yeah.
Which means there's more to it, but we're not going to get into it. So a great way to deal with this time stuff.
And he tries to get to it. It's like, so, okay, how does it all end? And it's like, well, that's a work in progress. It's like, oh, lazy timekeepers. What else they got going on?
Right.
And he explains to me, it's like, they're busy in their chambers, delicately untangling the epilogue from the infinite branches of the timeline.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a decent line.
That's a good line. But Loki instantly, it's the very much cool story, bro, of like, and then what? Did you write every bit?
And then he goes, then he says, and then what? There's just order to the end of time.
Right.
No next events.
No more TVA.
That's that.
So what? And then he's like, what did he say? It sounded like, basically his version of heaven, like we retire in paradise forever or whatever. He's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is where it sort of breaks down into this childish, like I don't think that's
ever over like that.
I don't think that's going to work like that,
Yeah. And then he has like a moment. He sort of like goes, Owen Wilson has an idea. He's like, hold on a second.
Yeah, what is it that tips him off here?
I can't remember what tips him off.
Something.
I wish I'd written that down.
Yeah, I think it's something like, you just live forever in paradise eating sweets or something like that.
Something like that. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
And they run over to a lockbox, I imagine, with all the evidence in it from one of the previous missions that they were on. And they pull out that kablooey candy.
France, where the kid got it,
And he's like, what is that? He's like, candy. Don't you have candy on Asgard? He's like,
we have
grapes
berries
and nuts.
No wonder you're so bitter.
It's like, no wonder you people are so bitter. God damn it.
What do you mean, you people? I'm sorry.
And he says to him, he's like, this candy is regionally found on Earth between 2047 and 2051.
Yeah, like its production run, yeah.
And he's like, okay, so we need to find any apocalyptic events then between those times.
Right, so because before this, once they clock their theory, they just go and look through all apocalypse events.
Impossible.
Like, all apocalypse events across the entire universe.
Yeah.
Right? So...
Not going to work. Not going to be easy to find.
Right, it's a needle in a stack of needles.
Yeah.
So then he clocks and so now we know it's Earth and this time frame.
Yeah.
Or at least as a place to start.
Yeah. And they start looking up all the events. And they're like, is this a thing? It's a landslide. It's this and whatnot. And
There's
then they
still
find...
a bunch. There's a bunch. On one planet in 5 years or something, yeah.
And they find one. They're like, I found him. Alabama 2050 Class 8 hurricane. Tears through a town and kills a bunch of people in this Rocks Cart shopping center.
Yeah.
This is it. And they go, All right. So then they get the plan together. They get the gang of the Angry Woman and a couple of other Minutemen, and they go after.
They do.
Loki, who is totally the Loki that we know and is totally a man.
Yeah, they go after him.
Him, exactly. That's what it is right there. They set up a task force, and it's like really terrible. They're like, okay, we're gonna set up the
It's
most
like
elite
6
task
guys,
force.
yeah.
But they're like, they make it out that they're gonna be like, oh, there's a massive task force with loaded weapons and like our best team. These are our ninjas of our group.
It's
right
Angry
here.
Lady and a couple of bres who have no social skills that we'll find out.
That's about it. Anyway, they appear at their time, and the hurricane is raging,
Everybody gets
rain
soaking
everywhere,
wet.
and they go into the shopping center, shopping mall, and immediately they're like, okay, they're all on watch. They're like, okay, what's going on? Loki dries himself off, and they're like, what the hell was that? It's like,
It's magic.
I dried myself off using magic.
Yeah.
I don't want to have my squeaky shoes let Loki know that we're here, unlike you guys.
Right.
It's like, god damn it.
Not only is it funny, not only is it a flex, but he turns it into a good reason as well.
He does, yeah. And while they go in, they're like, okay, so we're going to split up. I want you guys to go with that. They make Loki go with the Angry Woman while they're searching for this Loki. And just as they split up, we get a zoom out shot of one of the security cameras, and the other Loki is watching them.
He is watching.
He is
them,
watching. He is
and
watching. Definitely a man.
He has set a timer as 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Not units, minutes.
Exactly. Because now we're using time.
Now we're using time.
Now we're using time.
Right. And he leaves.
Exactly. And then they're going through, they're like sweeping slowly.
Yep.
And a random guy shows up and he's like, whoa. And they're like, whoa, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm shopping for flowers. It's a fucking hurricane outside.
Hurricane sales like 70% off perennials or whatever the fuck whatever he says.
And the angry lady gets closer and closer.
She even says, like, could this be you? And he's like, yeah, that could be me.
Could be me.
Yeah.
And he gets closer and closer to check him out. And immediately the guy just grabs her hand, like a green energy goes through, and he collapses on the ground. And Loki's like, is he dead? And she turns around.
They usually survive.
And there's Loki. This is Loki. We're like, what the hell is going on here? They start having a conversation about what's been going on, about how they sent you to come and find me, did they? And things like that.
A lesser version of me. Or
exactly. Excuse me, I'm the superior version.
Yeah, it's something. They don't actually quite say it. It says, oh, you're me. And she goes, no, if anything, you're me.
Exactly.
Which is that same thing. But
and he's trying to say as well, like trying to convince her that the whole reason why I'm here is so I can see you. I'm playing a part with these guys. I'm fooling them because I'm smart Loki.
Right, I'm double agenting.
So I can come to see you.
Right,
because I want to see the timekeepers.
We're going to overthrow the timekeepers and rule all the time and all that.
Exactly. A weird thing happens, however. So they're talking. They're talking. Both of them, both male.
Definitely both.
Definitely
Lokis.
both.
Hymns are talking.
Both hymns are talking. And the TVA woman that's now possessed by Loki sees a worker for the rocks cart place.
Yeah.
And transfers to him.
Right.
She drops on the ground. She's knocked out.
Yes.
And they're talking. And they go, so you're Loki. Like, so what should I call you? Loki. And then they go... She sort of looks at her own badge and says, call me Randy. I don't know why she...
I don't know, man.
I don't know if that's going to come back, but that's a weird thing.
But I love that Loki's like, I see why they hated us so much.
And Loki says his actual plan is, like I said, he's going to try and overthrow the timekeepers and wants to sort of like get under her. I don't know at this point if it's actually true, like he wants to overthrow the timekeepers, or if... He's just saying that to get to this Loki.
I feel like it's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
Which is that if the opportunity arises and he thinks he can do it, he probably would. But
because he has realized that the TVA is the greatest power in the universe.
Yeah. But also, like, this is a scheme that a Loki would believe, that he's playing a double agent. And of course, he's got his own plans. He's a Loki. Like, even the weakest of these Lokis is going to be like a pretty formidable kind of guy, you know?
Yeah.
So I think he thinks it's a plan she'll believe. I also think he sees some merit in maintaining the timeline. But I think his thing is he sees that there's a purpose, but he still wants to have have like an element of healthy chaos involved. I think he's becoming an agent of like, he's becoming more of a god of mischief than a god of chaos.
Right.
You know, where he's kind of chaotic before now, he just wants to be mischievous and play tricks, not like hurt people.
Right.
You know?
I get you.
So I think he thinks she'll believe it. Because immediately he checks on Angry Lady.
Yes.
Which is not very chaotic, evil guy.
I thought he was trying to play a double agent here.
Right.
What's going on?
Although he would probably argue if that Loki had questioned him that if this agent dies, then it might blow his cover.
Yeah.
But I think at least we're led to believe he checks on her because he's Loki. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And then they carry on talking. They carry on explaining the plan, and then eventually.
Well, we cut to the other TVA agents.
Yes.
Who, a few of them just start like searching people's bags and stuff. And
very weird.
Yeah, it's very Stormtrooper. Those other guys you mentioned that mark people out.
Yeah.
Very Hydra type. And then they find the kidnapped TVA agent.
Yes,
the
they do.
chick. And she's like, not quite crazy and insane. Because at the end she goes like, I told Loki. I told them where the timekeepers are. I told.
Yeah, she's like babbling in the beginning like nonsense.
But she like,
and then she manages to get it through.
And whatever has happened, maybe she's been like illusion interrogated in her mind or whatever. But which is nightmare fuel, by the way, because time can pass very differently in your imagination. You know?
Yeah.
So it could have been 100 years of interrogation for her.
Inception taught us that.
Right. But she like brings it back and she's like, no, I told Loki how to get there. I told Loki how to get to the timekeepers. And then we see that the whole of the place, as Loki's following Loki and the bodies, we start to see that like this whole place is rugged up. It's been rugged with time charges, what those things called?
Yeah, those
time
reset
grenades?
charges, those grenades.
Yeah.
Like you just walk past and you see one on a shelf and it's got like wires on it for some reason.
The old arm. This keeps falling.
In the
I hate it.
One more week. We'll get a
Yeah.
new solution for that. And they're having a conversation. And he changes. He changes again. The body changes again to someone else.
He changes into a big like Alabama
trucker guy or something like that, and is messing with one of these charges on the ground and sets up one of the little PDA things with the timer on it, and it's got like minutes left on it. Puts it down, and Loki comes up behind the other Loki and says, "What do you want from me?" And the guy gets up and starts like essentially. No, sorry, this is a little bit later on. They start beefing each other out.
Yeah,
She's like trying to delay.
And
then
this
at one
is where
point,
we see that there's things all across the place.
The place. And then he says like, "What do you want from me?" And the guy starts laughing, collapses on the ground.
Yeah.
And then behind you see the hooded figure pop out
with like that green energy around
his
hands.
Pulls down the hood.
His masculine figure.
It's like, I don't want you. It's Lady Loki.
It's a chick.
Oh my god. It's not Loki, but it is Loki, but it isn't Loki, but it is Loki.
Or it's Randy.
It's Randy. It's like, oh my god, with the short horns that definitely look more devilish than
They do look more
else.
devilish, and I don't know how those horns, I don't know how to feel about this. Those horns put me off more than him being a woman or any of this stuff.
The only thing that put me off was, and granted this is a stupid thing because we saw how many different forms Loki can take in that hologram. I was like, blonde hair. Takes me too far out. I feel like if it was jet black hair like Tom Hiddleston,
glad you said
I was like,
that.
that would have been fine. I don't know why that's a dumb thing.
I'm so glad you said that. I'll say I feel like they were trying to go complete opposite. So Tom Hiddleston's like obviously a tall, dark-haired man, so went with not a short, but like a woman with blonde hair. It's as different from Loki as we can get.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, but I feel like with you, I feel like she probably should have had black hair.
It's weird because all the other Lokis are like, granted, they're different. Like, maybe they have, one was like a centaur, one was blue and whatnot, but it was pretty much Loki.
She's Loki Odin's daughter.
Could be.
She's Thor. She's Lady Thor, but Loki. Because she's blonde and Thor's blonde. I'm so freaking smart. That's the theory I'm sticking with.
That and Hydra.
Look, Hydra's been in every episode of this so far. You saw the uniforms. You saw them beefing out.
Can't argue, guys.
Refugees.
And with her walking in with the horns, clearly that's Mephisto.
All of our tie-ins are... My God, this freaking mic.
This show
all
is
of our
just
times. We're so smart, is what we are.
That's it. Yeah, and she goes, "Thank you for helping me stall. I just needed a little bit more time."
Yeah.
Disappears, and then you see the countdown going down, 0. All of the grenades Everything goes dark first of all.
They do their mixing. Oh yeah, that's right.
Dead pitch black.
The power turning off made this whole attack suddenly way more sinister. Because look, we're used to like villains doing bomb attacks, whatever, right? But the fact that the whole power goes out, it's just black for a second, and then it all boots back up.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it felt like it was a Loki trick that it didn't work. Nah, it did.
All the power goes out, and then you see those grenades. They mix in that mixture that they do. They light up, but they don't all explode here. Each one has a little time door that opens underneath them, and they go somewhere. And then the lights come back, and they're like, was that
what the
it?
Frick?
And I think the door that Loki went through, Lady Loki went through, still open on the side. And round the corner comes Mobius with some agents, and they assume that the lights going off was his fault because the TVA agent's lying on the ground and doesn't remember what the hell happened. It's like, oh, Loki's betraying us. Zero evidence whatsoever. It's like, let's just do that.
But he does duck out with Lady Loki.
It's true at the end. Well, I feel like as soon as he comes around the corner, he's like, no, Loki, don't do it. Don't do it. Loki, don't do it. And then they're just like, well, they look like they're already going to kill me. They look like they're already going to kill me.
He's going to get pruned. And also, like, it took him this much time to find her. Now he can at least follow her, and he can be followed.
Yeah.
We know that they can track our Loki for some reason.
Yeah.
I forget why.
It's because this Loki is hiding in the apocalyptic events, whereas he wasn't before.
That's right.
There you go.
So he can leave little clues. That'll be the bread trail. He's going to leave variance clues.
Well, hopefully they listen and they don't just think that he's double-crossing them or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he then ducks straight into the door closes, and they've lost him.
That's it. No post-credit scene.
That's the end of that.
Why are we not getting post-credit scenes?
Oh, sorry, wait, just before we do that, we see what the reason was for all of those bombs going off. Yeah. We cut back to the TVA, and the timeline with the red lines on each side, multiple branches heading off each side. Red alert, everyone's like, oh my god, there's a 000 event going on. Oh my god, we need to call it. We need to say, and Minutemen getting deployed left, right, and center.
Judge Lady's looking at her room, she like sees the timelines diverge, goes and grabs a pruning fork, or whatever it's called.
It's like everyone's going to be needed. All hands on deck. It goes sideways.
Yes.
And then we cut to black.
It's pretty
And
cool.
As you said, no post-credit scenes. And
what's up with that?
Especially if you're going to have 18 minutes of credits.
Oh my god.
You need to have something there for us. Because I'm just like, fast forward a little bit. Oh, not too far. Oh, there's nothing. Okay, maybe it's after the next credits.
I did that. No,
nothing again.
Nothing.
So yeah, that's the end of episode 2 right there.
A good one.
I liked it a lot. There was a lot of explaining, and this is the thing that I like about time movies, because it's a bit like Alien movies. If you're gonna do an alien, you have to have one hell of an imagination, because if you just do a person in a different color, it's like,
it's not too
But if
great.
you do Alien like the original Alien movie, that's totally different, amazing looking.
And also
if you're gonna do time, you have to explain it properly, and you have to be inventive.
Yeah, you have to be inventive. You have to come up with the rules that you're going to stick to. It's important that you make rules and you stick to the rules that you've set down, because if you set rules and don't stick to them, I'll give you suspension of disbelief, right? You got time travel, but you've established rules, and if they now don't apply,
then what are we even doing?
Right, then I can't give you, just I can do whatever I want, right?
Exactly.
So I'm really enjoying this show a lot.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Do you know what? It's so good. How did Disney just nail this? They didn't have a stumble out the gate. They just went, no, we're just amazing. We're just going to do amazing things now. Granted, they probably had the IP locked down before. Like, people knew Wanda. People knew Sam. People knew Loki. So, that is one thing they definitely have in their favor. I'm so sorry about this, Mike. One thing they definitely have in their favor is that it's a very well-established, well-loved bunch of characters, right? So we already going in with knowing a lot about them and attached to them. Like, if this was a brand new character we'd never experienced, this show wouldn't be any good. We wouldn't care about Loki, but we do now. Yeah.
So, but I gotta be honest, the writing for these 3 shows has been outstanding. Like, I feel like the writing for these shows, for at least their season 1s, can be compared in quality with things like season 1 of Game of Thrones, Lucifer, was Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Like
Smallville.
Right, the pinnacle of TV. So I do genuinely think that whatever they're doing and however they're treating their writers, They should keep doing it. Hopefully it's abysmally. They're just fed on cocaine and abuse.
In the comments, people are going to be like, Sheps, yeah, we're... apparently they beat their writers.
Perfect.
And you support this, do you?
Absolutely.
If it's going to give us results.
Mate, if it gives us TV like this, I'll support the TVA and the other group of guys.
We're dancing around it. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in for this episode. We do have a couple of guys who've written in to our Discord server, just like you guys can by clicking that link in the description and give us your thoughts on each and every episode as we watch them. Our first bro is Huss, and he says,
It's Huss, bruv.
First of all, guacamole, right? No,
it's guacamole.
It's Huss. It's guacamole and Huss, and it's car 56. Okay? They both wrote in the exact same thing.
The guacamole kills me every time. That's the worst one.
Yeah, they both wrote in the same thing, saying, hello, Sheps and Eddie. I basically posted the topics thread 7 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And first thing he writes in, he says, hello, Sheps and Eddie. This is my review of Loki episode 2. I've not watched the show yet. That's all. Have a nice day.
I saw that. It made me laugh, but I also hate you.
Yeah. Cobras writes in and he goes, I've made up everything I want. I want to happen in my head, so I won't be disappointed with the episode, no matter how good it is.
Perfect.
The guy has got a strategy, and you can't fault him for it.
Hey, man, if it works and it keeps you happy.
Exactly. Do you want to read Kaha 56?
Kaha 56, yeah, can do. That opening, though, the absolute boff. Okay, can we just say that the music in this has been, the score has been really brilliant.
It's good. It's good
really
stuff.
brilliant. More context into the Miss Minutes character. Who's Miss Minutes?
Is that the angry woman?
Might be Angry Lady.
Angry Lady?
Yeah.
That's what we call her. It's her official name. What are you talking about?
Yes, seeing the different variants of Loki was cool, and they do actually wipe everything out with a grenade-looking things. The library scene was my favourite. It just had enough comedy and emotion at the same time, yet the cafeteria scene was only a little bit worse. It was still great. It had the perfect amount of comedy and explanation. Owen Wilson's second Pompeii scene in history was good. Second Pompeii scene?
I think I mean like the second time in Pompeii is happening. So there wasn't a second one, was there?
I don't know, maybe that's his second scene.
Oh, perhaps.
Yeah,
perhaps,
okay, cool. The first being in Night at the Museum. Oh, yeah!
There we go. That makes sense now. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. Night at the Museum is a brilliant movie. We should have done that for Movie Club. Loki freeing the goats was funny because, you know, the horns. Roxcart is probably a division of Roxanne, and it is Lady Loki. I freaking told you so. We all knew it was Lady Loki. Stop being stupid.
No. Look. You guys never once said Lady Loki.
Yeah, I never had those words or read those words from you.
In the chat, when we was watching the previous one, you're all like, oh, maybe it's Thor, maybe it's Odin, maybe it's Heimdall.
It's probably Hela's comeback or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So all these dumb things.
And we were like, no, it's probably like a Jotunheim Loki or like a Lady Loki that's from Odin. Lady Loki, Odin's son?
Odin
Is
daughter?
it Odin's daughter? Odin's kid. Odin's actual kid. The seed of his loins.
Loki, Odin's kid.
Right.
I proclaim you.
If you look closer, you can see Titan on the screen in the judge's office, which is Thanos' home planet. Yeah. Overall, great episode. I don't think it was better than episode 1, but still amazing. I'm still waiting for Owen Wilson to say, wow.
He has to say it.
Right, it got
Come
to.
on, you don't like, hey, we're going to hire Will Smith, and we're not going to let you say Fresh Prince at all, okay?
What?
That's the thing he's known for. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, but you know,
in every movie he's ever been in. What's that one with the kid, the super emotional one that he's in?
Oh, yeah, I know the one.
That
Pursuit
one.
of Happiness.
Yeah, Pursuit of Happiness. He says it in the first 10 seconds.
Does he really?
So this is a Fresh Prince, and he looks into the camera and winks.
Okay, cool.
He doesn't do it.
I was wondering. I was like, there's no way I've missed Fresh Prince references in every single Will Smith movie, is there? Is there?
After Earth. Oh. It's like, oh my God, son, you've got yourself in a Fresh Prince of a situation.
Or that would have been an easy one to work in that I would have missed. You could have been like, you're the only human on Earth that can succeed. You're like a Fresh Prince.
Nah,
you
that's terrible.
It would have worked.
Mine was way better. Anyway.
Or just like, yo, what's Fresh Prince?
That's awful. Mine was definitely better than that.
Anyway, also can't wait for the big reveal that the TVA is Hydra.
Definitely.
Thank you, CAA 56.
The funny thing is, if they turn out to be Hydra, it's going to be the worst thing ever. A worst secret ever, because they look like Hydra.
It's worse.
At least with the stupid senator in fucking Captain America.
Hydra.
The guy...
Yeah. That's sorry. It was the most bait thing.
Hydra.
Do you know what? They're worse than Hydra, the TVA and all that, because they see Hydra, they see that other group of people that would differentiate people they didn't like, and they were like, yeah, no, this is powerful. This is the way it's supposed to. This is cool.
This is good. This is the good timeline.
We won't be stopping this.
This is the good timeline.
14,600,081 versions of Thanos wiping out all life in the universe.
Fine.
We won't touch those ones.
Nope.
Just this one where it works out.
There you go.
You know, so frick those guys.
All the emotional scarring, all the
frickin' lizard people.
Fuck it. T Sheddy Stan. Oh, he's a Stan of us. Is great. Is great. I like how, by the way, he's now become T.
He's just T, yeah, because we can't say his name in it.
Right then. The soundtrack was amazing.
So good.
I love how many Easter eggs were in the numbers referencing the first and second appearances of the TVA, like issues 37. Also, the pen might be a Fantastic Four reference. Ooh, I didn't actually read what was on the pen.
Yeah.
I paused a bunch of other things, but I didn't read the pen.
I did read that, and I forget, but I was like, oh yeah, it's a nice little like tip of the hat to the universe, but not.
I wonder if he says it. And I'm probably not going to be the only one to say this, but Lady Loki is not Loki. And all we've seen is... And all we have
she never says Loki, does she?
It's true.
So that's one thing.
All we've seen is Loki control people without the Mind Stone. Blonde hair, another thing as well. Loki saying, I wouldn't treat me like that. Do you know what? He's onto something here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little things, right? Also, her saying, don't call me Loki. My theory is that she's actually Enchantress. Interesting.
She's Lady Thor, bruv.
Also, being of the multiverse is finally happening, and the soundtrack at the end was a banger. Also, very interesting of her sending all those time bombs to New York, Titan, Ego, Asgard, Vormir, and so on. So there's a multiverse where Star-Lord wasn't even born, assuming that that killed Ego. If it kills Ego, because one of them was sent to Ego, then there's no way that Star-Lord is made, because that god comes down to have sex with that human and then give her cancer.
Oh, that's right. These things are powerful in a way that the material universe can't comprehend, right? They just delete everything. So yeah, fair enough.
Fuck, totally. It's Mephisto, isn't it? Bruv, they even put the horns on her to show you it's Mephisto. I don't know how many more times I got to say it. By the way, I was going to say it. People are saying Lady Loki. Is that actually her official name?
I don't know, man.
Because I was going to say, isn't Loki... Or maybe it's just that Loki they were saying is gender fluid. Because then it's just Loki then, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, I don't know too much about it. So
we discussed this before as well, sort of privately, about everybody saying, oh, Loki's gender fluid. Like, no, Loki just messes with people. If that means turning into a horse and getting fucked by another horse... Right. If that means turning into a chick, like, it's not that he's gender fluid. He's chaos. His point is to mess with you.
That's the thing. People, when they saw it on Twitter, it wasn't in the political agenda of the Earth as people. It was, he's an alien.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. He can't be gender fluid. If he turns into a horse, he's an alien turning into a horse. Yeah. Turns into a lady. He's an alien turning into a lady. You know, like it's...
People took it completely the wrong way.
Yeah.
There were even people on the other side. They were like, "Oh, but no, there's a gender fluid nonsense like that." Again,
yeah, not the point.
Not the point.
And it doesn't work. He's an alien. He's an alien god.
just
doesn't work. It's not relevant, bro.
Next comment. Do you want to read it out?
Yeah. Oh shit.
Bro.
I was trying to find the pen thing. Nowhere's. It is a reference.
It's too soon.
I got it and I've forgotten it. So, Diog Bro says, "Good episode."
All right. Good stuff. All right, next comment.
Actually, the very next thing, I don't really have much else to say other than Lady Loki was obvious due to leaks. Just want to see how bad these timeline bombs get and whether it will be fixed. Update: people have found that Lady Loki is actually Enchantress because she's listed in the credits as her real name.
Oh.
Maybe the TVA assumed it was Loki since they've been seeing so many of him.
I need to have a look at the credits then.
Interesting.
Right.
See, that's obviously fake though.
It's all misdirection.
It's all misdirection because, like I said, she's Thor, but not Thor. She's like Thor, but she's got Loki powers. That's who she is.
Listen to what we're saying.
If that turns out to be correct, I'm gonna rub it in people's faces forever.
But I was right.
For once, I finally got one.
Our next comment is from a new fellow viewer. Hashishash. Love the name, bro. Love the name. I had a hunch that the hooded figure was Lady Loki, and even though I thought that, seeing her gave me goosebumps. But now I'm questioning if that Loki changed into a female, or if it's even Loki at all. Feels weird to say a Loki. I mean, they got mad and said that they don't call me Loki
because it's Thor.
Yeah, exactly, because it's Thor, exactly. Knowing that Loki is fluid means that whatever, means he can be whatever, just like we said.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if the show purposely put that out there for everyone to know, just to throw us off. With Marvel, you just never know. Whatever the case, my mind is jumbled and I don't know how I'm supposed to wait for the next episode. There you go, right
I think the other thing to remember is, right, like Loki is more than just some version of fluid of these things, right? Because he gets to choose his identity, and he's chosen like the human-looking Tom Hiddleston because he's actually blue. Yeah, that's an illusion that he like, or maybe not an illusion.
I think it's when he's around cold, it sort of adapts. Because when he touches the frost cube thing, he goes all like thing.
Yeah.
And when one of the frost giants touches him, but to be fair, that was very early on in the MCU. They could have retconned a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll do this as an effect. Oh, it's actually not.
But the important thing is he is an ice giant. Like there's no Asgardian blood in him, so he doesn't look like Asgardians. He's chosen to adopt that identity and make that what he really looks like. So he really looks like whatever he chooses to look like. And I think he even says about that projection thing about his actually changing your molecular structure. Like that's his body, but that's not his body. It's not what he looks like, really, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting thing. I will say, Dahlia says, I need a hero has literally been in everything. What the frick? Now,
I need a hero!
There are only 2 times that song has ever really shown up in cinema.
Yes.
Johnny Five.
Short Circuit, I was just going to say, yeah, go on.
And Shrek.
True. Those are the only 2 times that are applicable.
Everything else is just imitating.
It was actually in that Guardians of the Galaxy game reveal in Square Enix and whatnot. Master Universe. Yeah. People are overusing it.
They are.
There's a certain number of songs that they use. They're like, guys, we're in the 80s. Or guys, we're in Texas. Yeah. We're in this. There's these certain things that just like, we're going to do that now.
Yeah. I think it's one of those songs that some songs are just so iconic, right? Yeah. But the problem is if you use it anywhere, it's not like... I know I love Monsters in Monsters University, whichever it was. Like I love all those movies, but the 2 true uses of this song are those 2 movies: Short Circuit and Shrek 2, I think.
Exactly. Guys, that's all of our comments for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week for episode 3 of Loki.
That's right.
It's heating up, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Are you excited for when you see, obviously, Thor, Loki?
Well, I think the real trick will be they're going to show her try to pick up a Mjolnir, and she won't be able to because she's not true Thor, but she is Thor. She's Thoretta or whatever, Thorina, but she's not worthy.
What happens when this Thor, female Thor, meets the other female for Natalie Portman?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. There's going to be tension.
The rule 34 for that is going to be...
Woo!
Anyway.
Yes, we'll catch you guys all in the next one.
Yeah.
Be quick with those comments because now we're doing it where we record it literally the day after it comes out on Disney+.
True.
So yeah, we'll catch you guys all in the next one.
See you in the next one.
Bro.